Well, I also want to talk a little bit more about Arsenal. In fact, no, I would say about 5 days, 6 days ago, we had Sol Campbell join us for the whole match preview and post-show, etc. And he had some really interesting comments. I'm actually going to play it for you right now, and then you can tell me what you think. So let's hit play.
He needs to have clear kind of understanding what are they looking to spend, what can they spend, who they trying to get in, and you know, it's going to come down to, you know, trust. You know, can he trust the club to say, right, you know, we are looking for X, Y, Z. We're going to bring, you know, 2, 3 players in, you know, once the restart, and I think they could push us on to kind of really challenge for the top 4, or even, you know, never know, really have a good go of the Premiership. So for me, he needs to sit down with his people and have a serious conversation where the club is going in the next 2, 3 years, because he hasn't got 5 years, 6 years to kind of say, let's see how it goes. He needs, you know, almost instant success now.
Now, that was in relation to Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and the saga concerning his contract. Are you in agreement with Sol there, Martin? Does Aubameyang need to have the trust, or rather, he has Arteta's trust in terms of the transfer market, in terms of what's going to happen in the future? Because time is not on his side in terms of being in his prime.
No, but Aubameyang is one of those players that, of course, you want to keep him at the football club, but you don't want the Ozil situation, that as soon as he signs this bumper deal, that he goes into a comfort zone. Because something like that happened to Ozil. We lost that player when he signed for all that money every week. Now, I hope Aubameyang's a different type. It may be that he goes, but a quick decision needs to be made this summer. But, I mean, we're just looking there just to enlarge on what Sol was saying about sort of the type of player he brings in. You know, I look at central defenders and I want them to be able to defend. Does he look at a central defender, and I'm alluding to the fact that David Luiz has signed a new deal, and think actually the most important thing is how he passes the ball? No, for me, it's about defending. And we'll develop somebody that can pass the ball. So those sorts of ingredients need to be right through the team. We're playing 3 at the moment, and I think that's really because there's a weakness in the middle, not because it's his desire to play a 3. He's come from Guardiola. Guardiola wants to play a 4. That's his method, his knowledge over many years. So at the moment, this system is sort of a temporary idea, and we won't see the real Arteta till next season. So I'm really anxious to see what type of defenders he wants to bring in, who's going to control midfield, and how he ties down Aubameyang. And he has to be a part of the negotiations. Emery wasn't, allegedly, and Ramsey was allowed to leave the football club. So that's got to change, and that comes from top down. And hopefully those decisions are being made now in the boardroom at Arsenal Football Club.
Well, obviously space has to be made in terms of wages and the amount that they're paying, and also squad size. So who do you want to see leave the club, and who do you want to see join Arsenal Football Club?
That's not for me to say. I know the areas that Arsenal need to strengthen.
But in your opinion, who do you like and who do you not like wearing an Arsenal jersey?
I'm not going to shout names of players out of respect to people at other football clubs. I know the type of player that I want: a very dominant figure to play central defence. And I want a midfield player that can actually control the game. You know, somebody that's mobile, strong in that position, not necessarily another 17-year-old or 18-year-old from a second division club in France, somebody that is actually recognised in the game that can control midfield. The front 3 is there. We've already seen it, and Pepe doesn't play, but we have Saka now, Lacazette, and Aubameyang. Aubameyang's as good as anything in Europe. So it's just adding 1 or 2 players. Tierney looked very good to me tonight. Is Bellerin going to play, or is it going to be Cedric? But the system, I'm anxious to see what we're going to play, and I believe it will be the same as what Man City played, because that's what, you know, he's worked on now. He's worked with Guardiola, he's learned from him, and that, by and large, is the best way to play. He's got to get the right people in and do it quickly. But we're just coming out of a pandemic. You know, money is short, and you know, he's under real pressure to get this job right.
Anybody catch your eye in terms of who you think could wear the Arsenal jersey? Is anybody you've seen in particular that you think should join the club?
Well, I think Partey from Atletico Madrid, the midfield player that sits very, very strong, tough player, is the sort of type of player that Arsenal needs in that midfield. I think Torreira, funny enough, is a player that doesn't get used enough. I know he's been injured. Xhaka has come in now and done better, but I'm not sure that is the right answer. But we have an array of central defenders there at Arsenal Football Club: Holding, Socrates, Mustafi, David Luiz. Who's the leader? Who's the strong man? So I think some work needs to be done there. Maybe move a few out and bring some in. So they're the areas I target.
What about your take on this, Danny? Because you've played against them quite recently. I know you've watched them plenty as well. That soft centre seems to be an issue for Arsenal for quite a few years. We alluded to it a few minutes ago. What's your take on them?
Yeah, I'm with Martin. I've always, probably many other players when we've discussed Arsenal, is that leadership at the back. I'll mention him because he's a Leicester player, and I always found it I don't know whatever happened with the Johnny Evans situation. I remember there was Arsenal interest in the January transfer window, and then in the summer he was available for £3 million, and someone with that experience, he's won Premier Leagues at Man United, and I was delighted that he came to Leicester, and you see how we've been performing. He's probably been one of the best centre backs this season. Martin will know better than me, but I think a signing like that at that time would have been a really good signing for Arsenal, and he never seemed to go for that kind of signing. And Johnny Evans is a leader. He's good on the ball and he can defend.
And Soyuncu as well. Soyuncu. Exactly. I mean, Maguire's gone now for all that money to Manchester United, and those two are as good as partnership. If you think about it, out of the top six, the big clubs we're saying, these two are as good as anybody.
Yeah, I agree. But like I said, and obviously the defensive midfield situation, and like Martin said, I think that's just what Arsenal are lacking, and you've got so many good players going forward, and just a bit of leadership and experience, Premier League experience as well. But it's difficult. But for me, Leicester City signing Johnny Evans for £3 million was an absolute bargain.